Welcome to Moxie, where we discuss life's moments that require us to stare fear in the face and move through it. Today's guest is Lindsay Furse. I met Lindsay when I was in the 6th grade and she was in the 7th grade. She was a super cool girl. We attended a small school in Summerton, South Carolina. Fast forward 20 plus years, we reconnected. She's still cool as ever. She's a wife, a mom of 3, and fighting acute myeloid leukemia. I saw Lindsay's battle on social media and I wanted to reach out and learn more. I wanted to learn about what she's going through and ways that we can help. I learned so much in this conversation and I know you will too. Please join me in helping Lindsay with her mission of spreading awareness. Please enjoy.
Okay, hey.
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing okay.
Good.
Just tired, but here.
I can't begin to imagine.
Yeah, it's pretty exhausting, but I'm managing. So yes, my brain is like chemo brain. So I have my sister Brooke in here to look at her for words.
Well, thank you for jumping on. I don't know, you just have been such an inspiration and kind of watching your journey. I was like, I need to just tell you that. And I also just wanted to kind of like lift you up and share whatever I can about what you've gone through, what you're going through. So,
Well, thank you, Brinley.
Yeah.
You inspire me with your cute little boys out there on the lake and running and swimming and all these things. That's pretty awesome. I mean, it's hard being a mom with all those little people working and having that energy to do all that. So that's amazing.
Well, no, there were mornings that I was like, I don't want to do this. And I thought of you. I was like, well, Lindsay probably would give anything to be able to do it. Like, yeah,
I think. It looks pretty hard, but yeah,
not in comparison to what doesn't compare at all. But I don't want to talk about anything that you don't want to talk about. I just wanted to kind of learn more about, and I can't even say the word, like acute
myeloid leukemia.
Okay.
And there's from what I've learned, there are different terms for it as well. And there's different types of leukemia. Basically mine is fast growing. So catching it at an earlier stage was very important for me and for others too. So that's a big deal because it's very fast spreading. Acute, I'm pretty sure that's why it's called acute.
Right.
Well, the doctors called it pretty fast is what they told me. So that was really a good thing. I think that's helped me a lot. Plus I'm younger than most people, which I always thought it was just children, as I've heard of leukemia, in children, but not really as much as in adults. But it affects usually a lot of people older than 65 and then younger than 20, I think. So and I'm 37. So one of the biggest questions I was asked is like where I grew up and what I was exposed to growing up in Clarendon County near farms. My dad grew plants, so there's a lot of fertilizer, a lot of chemicals sprayed. We had well water, crop dusters everywhere. So they don't know for sure where it comes from, but that is something that they are looking into. They see a lot of patients who have grown up on farms, farmers, that kind of thing. In the last, 2 to 3 years, there's been a lot of progress and I guess, what would I say? They've learned more about leukemia and how to cure it, and not necessarily always cure it, but it's come a long way in the last few years. So from what I understand.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So before, and just because people are going to see this that don't know you, and I know that you have 3 children, and but I kind of wanted you to share what your life looked like, normal routine before this happened.
Well, I was working as a preschool teacher at our local church, Lake Murray Pres. And then I got pregnant with our 3rd child, who was a little boy. And so I stopped working to stay at home, probably around 2 years ago now. He's almost 2. So I was just busy mom of 3. My girls are 10 and 7, and they are dancers at the dance department. They have busy social lives. And then I have Larston, and a little boy who's almost 2. And so basically my life revolved around them, and, just being a mom, being a friend, and being a wife, and just cleaning, cooking, being a sister. I'm the oldest of 4. So just busy all the time, nonstop going. I got a scare in the beginning of this year. In January, I was got a colitis attack in my stomach one afternoon, and I had to pull over. I had the baby with me, and I got really sick, and I've had indigestion issues. I've had my gallbladder removed. So this was kind of like a stomach thing that hit a flare up, and Mark took me to the closest urgent care, and I had a CT scan, and they could tell that I had a colitis attack, but then they also found lesions on my spine. They said it looked like a hole puncher had punched out like 3 or 4 places in my spine, and they needed me to go get a PET scan. So that was our first, you might have some type of bone cancer. So we were scared, really scared then. I had that February 16th, and it came back negative, and everything was fine. Nobody really mentioned anything about my blood work. The doctors looked at a few things where my liver enzymes were a little elevated, but nothing to make them proceed in any further testing after the PET scan came back clear. And then probably late May, June, I was sick with what I thought was a sinus infection. What I now think I had is walking pneumonia. But since I'm a busy mom, I just got on our insurance app and talked to a doctor like we're talking now. And he diagnosed me with a sinus infection, gave me some antibiotics for 10 days. And I went on with, life, because that's what we do. And Brooke and I went up to a girls' weekend at Hilton Head and at the beach. And I was just tired, and I had headaches, didn't really want to eat, got super hot. So then we came home that Sunday. That Monday, just I thought I had a migraine. Then I thought maybe I had the flu, and it just continued. And then that Thursday, I went to the doctor, and I told her, I was like, maybe I'm going through early menopause, because I was just so hot and basically having hot flashes at night, just pouring sweat, could not cool off, the hottest I've ever felt in my body. And they did a full panel, everything they could do. She did all kinds of blood work. She called me, I got blood work on a Friday. She called me the following Wednesday, and she told me that my white blood count was extremely low, and my hemoglobin, my platelets, everything was really, really low. And that if I got a nosebleed or fell or anything, I needed to go to the emergency room immediately, because platelets help your blood clot. And if something happened, I could be in danger of hemorrhaging. So that was, at that point, I just taken my children, the girls, to the movies. They're in the car with me. And she starts talking about leukemia and lymphoma. and that she's going to call SCOA, which is South Carolina Oncology Association in Columbia, and set up an appointment with a hematologist and the oncologist. And so that was that was when it really started. And they called, had an appointment on Wednesday. The doctor called me back and moved it to Monday. He needed to see me immediately. So Dr. Collins, he's a great man. Mark and I went in on Monday. They did blood work again. He talked to us about everything and what we should do. We were leaving to go to the beach for July 4th week, the next week, with his family. And he said that I needed to get a bone marrow procedure where they go check. They basically put feels like a hammer is getting nailed, like a nail is getting hammered into your, kind of like your butt bone, basically, like your upper hip. And they take a needle and pull out bone marrow to test it. So that was so scary. And we were just going to go to the beach and then come back and get it done. And then he said he would do it at his office without any anesthesia. And I was like, oh no. I was like, I need to have some anesthesia because this sounds scary. So that Friday, July 2nd, I went in at 12. Brooke took me to Richland and I had the procedure. I mean, it hurts, but it wasn't like anything I couldn't handle. And then I came home and I was just resting. And by 6:00 that night, the doctor had called me and I was laying in the bed. And that's when he told me I had leukemia and that I needed to pack my bags for a month and go to Baptist Hospital Saturday morning and check in for a month. And that they would start chemotherapy that Tuesday. And I was just laying in the bed by myself. And then Brooke and Amanda, my sisters, were outside with the children playing. We had already sent the 2 older girls to the beach. Mark was on the way home from work. My parents live across the street from us. They were over there, and my little brother, Thomas, was there. And I just, like, telling me, like, the leukemia part hit me hard, but when he told me I had to be in the hospital for a month on one floor, couldn't see my kids, couldn't go outside, could probably only have 2 people come to see me and stay with me and help me.
Less than 24 hours.
And it was it was less than 24 hours. I had to go do this. And it was no time to process. I mean, I couldn't breathe, but I immediately walked outside to my sisters and just like started bawling and crying and told them what was going on. And Brooke automatically and Amanda stepped up, and Brooke was done. She was committed and she said, I'll be with you the whole time. Amanda said, I'll stay with the kids and help Mark. I think Brooke quit her job like that day and immediately took over. My sisters moved into the house. Right. I mean, they were there for me. We got my parents from across the street. We brought them here. We told them. And then I had to go outside and meet Mark when he pulled up in the driveway and talk to him. And it's just no time to process anything. And you just have to go and listen to your doctor. And I mean, luckily I listened to my body. Leukemia is acute, they call it blast. I had 60% blast in my bone marrow. My blood smears did not show the leukemia, but the bone marrow did. So it had not gotten that far, but it was ready to, it was 60%. So Mark was going to have a week off anyway because we were leaving for the beach. So he was with me for almost 2 weeks in the hospital. And then Brooke came, and we were at Baptist Hospital, and I was on the 8th floor for a while. I went through chemo. I started chemo for 7 days.
2 weeks, 2.5.
And it was very extreme. One of the chemos, they call it the Red Devil.
That's what I read when Amanda or Brooke, I'm not sure who was updating. And I mean, it sounds, the name itself is terrifying.
It was. And it was red. And it was 3 days of that, plus 7 days of one that just ran 24 hours. And I mean, I walked into that hospital that Saturday afternoon, and after we had, the whole family came. Mark's family drove the kids back, the 2 older girls, that Saturday morning, and I had to tell them what was going on. That's probably been the hardest thing for me, is the children. And they've been really great about it, but just leaving them for so long after being with them. I mean, the longest I've ever left them was probably 3 days in their whole lives. And so that's probably been, sorry, my biggest struggle. So, but they came, my grandma came, the whole family was here to talk to me and tell me bye, because I knew I wouldn't see them for up to a month, which ended up being 37 days away from them the first time. And so we left and we went to the hospital, and they had it on lockdown because we had to check in through the emergency room. And we walked in, and I think there was an incident in the emergency room with a knife or something crazy. So they look at me and tell me, Mark can't come with me, but I can. And so like, I lost it. And I like walked out, and I was outside and one of the nurses came out and said that she would walk him through another part of the hospital so he could be with me. And they took me upstairs to the 8th floor. And then they proceeded to tell me that because of COVID, I couldn't have anybody stay with me. So I lost it again. And I was like, well, I can't do this. And then Dr. Collins called my doctor, and he said no, so they made it work so I could have Mark and Brooke come and stay with me, because I couldn't imagine staying in the hospital by myself. And that is something that has stood out to me the most, is how many people are there dealing with cancer and a million other things, probably health-wise, and they don't have anyone. And you see them in the waiting rooms, you see them in their rooms when you're walking the halls to try to get a little bit of exercise, and they're just, they're old people, a lot of old people, and they have no one with them at all. And it is really sad. I'm lucky that I have the biggest support system, my family and my friends, my church family, Clarendon County, where we're from, the Chapin, everybody has just been very supportive. But and that's pretty much where it started. And yeah, cancer is I've had close family members and friends and people have cancer, and it's like I never realized what they were really going through until now. And it's like I almost feel so guilty that I couldn't do more for them when they were suffering, or just dealing with it. I mean, it's life-changing for everyone involved, friends, my family, and it's what I've seen is like God has created some really amazing, smart, compassionate people who are taking care of us, doctors and nurses, and just even the ladies cleaning the room, holding my hand and praying for me at Baptist. I had a really hard induction chemo, I was there, like I said, for 37 days. I ended up, like, the big thing about it is chemo wipes out everything. Like, it's trying to kill all the cancer cells, but it's also killing all your good cells in your body. So your immune system is completely gone. I mean, the goal is to wipe it all out and start fresh after however many days. So once that happened, the biggest thing next is do not get an infection of any kind, because that's when you get really sick, and that's when it gets dangerous. And I think since I was sick before I went in, I ended up getting pneumonia, is what they believe. I started getting really high fevers, and I think Brooke said one night I was almost up to 105. I was in my hospital room on the regular floor, a cancer floor, and I remember just like getting the fevers, and they were bringing in bags of ice and putting them all over my body to try to cool me down. And then the next thing I know, here comes my nurse, Yadi, who took care of me. And there were so many great nurses that took care of me at Baptist. And they like became family because I was there for so long, and we just got to know each other. But they took me to the ICU, and they checked me in there, and they started putting like these cooling blankets to help me. And I guess that was the double I, Brooke. Yeah. The double ICU. So it's not quite ICU yet. I didn't stay in there but one night, and then they put me in ICU. And after that, I do not remember what happened. I remember just like waking up, and they were putting cold bags of ice and solar panel things wrapped around my legs, and ice blankets, and they were just trying to figure out what was wrong with me and bring my fevers down. And I guess they ended up putting me on morphine, and they ended up putting the what's it called? You're on a ventilator. Oh, sorry. So I was in like they basically put me in kind of like in a small coma, and they did the ventilator because I could not breathe well on my own, and I was just working really hard to do it. But I was in the ICU for probably 2.5 weeks, and I do not remember most of it at all. I pulled out my own ventilator after 3 days. No, I just had a nurse with me, and it was my 7-year-old's birthday. So everybody was home in Chapin, and they called Mark and told him I just ripped the ventilator out, and it scared everybody to death. But they said that's because I didn't need it anymore. And so I was strong enough to break free, because they tie your hands down. And I was strong enough to somehow get out of the hand straps that they had on me and rip it out. I told a nurse to bring me a phone because I didn't have one. And I FaceTimed my husband and told him to get the lawyer and to come get me. And that's what I was screaming but I don't know any of this. I just hear stories. I don't know what I said or what I did, but I was very weak. I remember just like one day waking up and picking up my phone and just FaceTiming my family and talking to them. And they were all just like so surprised that I was like, they were like, oh my gosh, you're strong enough to hold the phone and talk. And I just was like, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't even know how bad I was. It got bad enough to where Mark had to talk to the doctor and ask if they should start calling in my family to come tell me goodbye. So it was that bad. My doctors looked at me and said that he's proud of me because he thought I was going to die twice. So finally got strong enough to sit up in ICU. And I mean, you're so weak. You can't even go to the bathroom by yourself. I could hardly stand up because I'd been in a bed for so long and I'd lost so much weight from it. And my muscles were just depleted and gone, and my legs, it was crazy. And finally they moved me back to the 8th floor, and I started eating and getting up by myself and just getting stronger, and my numbers started rising. With cancer, I mean, with leukemia, I have to get my numbers. And when I say numbers, it's your white blood count, your red blood count, your hemoglobin, and your platelets are really big, and your A and C, which is neutrophils, which is, I don't really know how to explain that, but basically like your immune system, because you get neutropenic is what they call it. And I can't be around flowers or outside. I couldn't eat fresh fruit. It's a very strict like diet. They actually want you to eat processed food and fruits because there's so much bacteria that can get you sick from, just like a strawberry is like and apples are like one of the dirtiest fruits. And if you eat it, and it's not like pre-washed, like really bad, I mean, you could get an infection when your numbers are low. But my numbers started rising. And August 8th, they said I could go home, and I came home and I couldn't walk without a walker. I had to have help getting in the house. I had to get a new bed to help me get it, like to get in and out of the bed. I had to, I had to have something in the bathroom to help me get up and down from the toilet. I had to have a shower stool, and my husband or my sisters would have to bathe me. The nurses would bathe me because you don't have the strength to even wash your own body. It was crazy, but within 2 weeks I was home and getting stronger.
Which is a miracle in itself. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
I just remember, I prayed to God so much. And I had a lot of anxiety. So, in those moments when you're praying and you can really feel God just like wrapping his arms around you and calming you down, like I think I've had 5 or 6 bone marrow procedures, which really bring my anxiety through the roof because I know what to expect, the pain and the after and everything. But praying is like, one of the biggest things that can help you get through everything. And you just see God walking around because you just see all these people who are just helping you and taking care of you in the hospital. And that's a special calling to come and to be an oncology nurse or a doctor and just caregivers, my family, just everybody stepping in and just friends. We had a meal train that was covered every Monday, Wednesday, Friday night. My family was fed from the July 6th through now, and it's just continued. And it's, last night somebody brought me dinner from our church, and I've personally never met her, but she's a deacon with my husband and he knows her. And, just cards from people who I've never met before. So, prayers, cards, like food, just all the things. It's amazing. And I know that's all part of God's plan. And he has a plan for me to help. And this is part of it. I see that because I'm like, the first thing I thought was, okay, obviously my plan isn't working out. And it's been scary because Mark and I have had a great marriage. We've had 3 healthy kids. And when I brought the baby home in 2019, my last baby, Larson, and my preacher came and I looked at him and I said, is something bad going to happen to us? Because life is too perfect right now and it's scary. And I mean, I guess this was part of his plan. I'm not saying he did this, God, but it's just crazy how you have a plan in your head, and he definitely has a different one. So the only thing I've thought about is that he put this here, like this is part of my plan for me to raise awareness and to do something for others who are going through the same thing or who have gone through the same thing. So I can tell, like when you reached out to me, I was like, you know, there he is, and this is part of it. And we're also, you know, we're having the blood drive at our church, and that's some friends who've put that together, because as I sat and waited for blood and platelets, I could see that it's just been, it was hard, especially in Texas, where there's a lot of people with cancer who need blood and platelets. And I sat almost 12 hours in the emergency room one night because I needed it, but the blood bank didn't have it to give to me. And so it was really hard to find. And my doctors, the emergency room doctors, had to call and like press for me to get my blood and platelets. And it's so important for everyone to, you know, if they can, to donate and give. And so that's been one of my main things, is to raise awareness about that as well. I just noticed. So what sorry, I'm probably getting off track with
No, Lindsay, thank you for sharing, because what you're sharing, I mean, I'm like, wow, I knew it was hard, hard isn't, there are no words.
It's really, I mean, it's crazy. It's just wild to go through all this, but I mean, I still have I feel like I've blocked it out, and I'm just like getting a job done. Like I have to get this done. And because I have 3 kids, so I was home for like 2 weeks. And after having that crazy first induction, my Thomas Rhodes, who you know, he called me one of the first days I found out and told me about MD Anderson in Texas and Houston, and told me to get out there. But since it was so fast with my doctor, I didn't know what really to do. I didn't know if I should question him about where to go, like which hospital. I just listened to him and went. You know, I've never really, besides having 3 babies and a gallbladder, I've never experienced such things. So I didn't really know how to advocate for myself, which is also very important to do. But once we went through that, my sisters did a lot of research, and Amanda registered me there, and they approved our insurance. And we had a gracious friend ask a family member, and they flew us on their private jet to Texas. I believe we went, when did we go? Like the end of August 23rd, 24th. And that was probably the bravest thing I've had to do, is pack up and fly across country to Texas and leave my children again after only being with them for 2 weeks. And I knew it would be a long time. So I was in Houston for 7 weeks. So I was gone again for another, didn't know what we were going into, didn't know what they were going to say in Houston at MD Anderson, but they're definitely one of the #1 cancer centers in America. They have the hospital is just completely dedicated to cancer. There's a whole floor for leukemia. And we went and met with my doctor, Dr. Ohanian. She looked at everything. And at that point I was in remission, which is great. And I have been this whole time, but since I left Baptist. And there's no signs there's mutations in genes that create your cancer. And mine was a moderate to severe case of something called trisomy 8, and it was gone. And it's been gone in all my bone marrow procedures since Baptist, and I've been in remission, which has been great. And I've done what I'm doing is called Consolidation Chemotherapy. So they broke it down. They have a whole team. They go over your case and they all decide what would be best for me. And I do 3 days, and it's 25% less, I guess, intense is what they say, since I am in remission. And so I've done that twice there, and we stayed out there for 7 weeks, and, we were in the hospital for 6 days, and Brooke went with me, and did the 3 days of chemo. They treated me for the pneumonia that was still showing up, and it's still kind of there on my lungs. So, but that's kind of typical for pneumonia, I believe. But we stayed out there, and then you just basically you get your chemo and you go back and forth to the doctor, to the hospital about every other day, and get blood work, and they check you for your numbers and then decide if you need blood or platelets or, any other thing. And probably about 2 weeks after chemo, I typically have to get blood or platelets every other day. And that's a lot of waiting. People who are sick sit in a waiting room a whole lot. And that's when you see how many people are suffering with cancer. And it is shocking to me. I've never seen so many people. Once I walked into MD Anderson in Houston and sat in the leukemia waiting room, and it was completely full. It's full of people who are sick, and it's there for range from all ages. There are a lot of older people, but it's, one day I just saw a young girl who may have been 15. I've seen, the little kids walking around too, which they have a separate hospital, but for them, and then even older people. I know somebody was my grandma's age, 87, and they're in there fighting to survive. And it just is sad and amazing all at the same time that all these people are fighting, and nobody's crying or down. Everybody's talking and asking each other how they are and lifting each other up. And it's really no time to get sad and get down. There's days, of course, where you break down and your wall comes down, but for the most part, it's just to me, I'm getting the job done, and I don't have time to let my wall come down, because that's when the emotions start to flow, and it's okay. And I let it come down sometimes. But I definitely have built a wall for that, to keep me stronger and to keep positive. Because if I let all the bad thoughts come, that's when you start getting really upset. I have not researched or looked up one single thing about leukemia myself online, because I know I would get freaked out. My sisters have done all the research. My husband. So if I have a question, I just ask them. And then, of course, just talking to the doctors.
That's really wise, Lindsay. I don't know if I would have, that's wise to kind of say, this is my job. I'm going to get it done. I don't need any other things going on. I don't need any negativity.
Yeah.
You know what you're going for.
Yeah. It's you already know it's scary. You already know there's a chance that you may not survive, but they've come a long way with, there's so many trials, so many different types of leukemia, and MD Anderson treats each patient differently, because every person is different. Everybody has it, their gene or mutation or their blast, everything is different with everybody. So they don't just treat you all the same, and they have a plan for you. So, I knew anyone with it, I would definitely say to look into MD Anderson for any type of cancer, really, because they are amazing. They really, and Columbia is great, and it is. But if you need a second opinion, or, just want to go to the number one place, just go ahead and go talk to MD Anderson and look into it. And they've had a great plan. I actually, I've had 2 rounds of consolidation there, and then I leave Tuesday to go fly back to MD Anderson for a week for my 3rd round of consolidation. And then I get to come home and go to my doctor here at SCOA, Dr. Collins, and they do my blood work, and they send me to Lexington Hospital for my blood or platelets. And then I'll do the same thing in December. And then with leukemia, since it's bone marrow, for me, I'm going to have to get a bone marrow transplant. And Be the Match is another way, not only giving blood and platelets, but Be the Match is a great way to help people in my position. You just I think they send you a kit, and you can swab your mouth and send it back. Okay. And you can help a stranger. You can help save their life, because I have 3 siblings, and my brother was the only one who was a 50% match. My sisters were not a match at all. But now I have 2 possible donors, 2 strangers who are going to help save my life. One of them, and they're a stranger, and it could be somebody from like across the world who is 100% matched to me, and I'm going to receive their bone marrow, their cells, healthy cells. And I'm going to move to Texas in January for that, for up to 5 months. I will be gone for a long time. My baby's crying in the background. Sorry.
No, that's beautiful. No, that's,
yeah. How it is.
Yeah, I definitely do. And that's what, whenever I think your story was so like, first off, we're the same age. We have boys that our youngest are very similar in age, and 3 kids. I just started thinking, I was like, oh my gosh, like Lindsay, my heart immediately broke. And then you start thinking like, what can I do? What can, because you feel like you're waiting for updates and just praying and thinking about you. That's every single day.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Prayers are very important. My list is big now after meeting so many people and just thinking of all those people that I've seen who are fighting just like I am. But, praying for them that's a big deal, prayers. So,
yeah.
But yeah, January is going to be very hard. They wanted me to come in December, and I asked them to push it to January so that I could be home for the holidays. With 3 kids, I just feel like I just got home. I wasn't ready. I needed to fill my cup back up with the reason why I'm fighting and, who I'm fighting for, not just myself. But I really needed to be home for a little while before I could get back to that place, get back to my job. I just wanted to be home, but I'll probably be in the hospital for a month. This will probably be my biggest fight, is the bone marrow procedure. The chemo is going to wipe me out. Basically, my DNA will completely be gone. I'll never have the same DNA. I will have the stranger's DNA.
Okay.
So infection is really big. My body rejecting the transplant, the bone marrow from my donor is really big. And just, it's scary. I'm scared because my first induction was so scary, even though I don't quite remember everything. It has given me like PTSD. Checking into a hospital has been like my anxiety goes really high. It scares me really bad. So I'm very scared of it, but the transplant team and my transplant doctor, believe that it is the best thing for me, and that because of my age and because I'm so strong now and because I've been in remission since my first induction, that I should do really well with the transplant, but it's still very scary. So
yeah,
so
terrifying.
yeah, so a month in the hospital, and then we have to live somewhere close for about 100 days after that, because you'll go to the hospital about every day for check-ins.
Will Brooke be with you, or will Mark, or
both?
Okay,
I think oh, sorry, Brooke's leaving. Love you. Brooke's going with me, probably in the beginning, and then we're gonna try to get a calendar together with the family and probably switch off 2 weeks at a time, or they are gonna switch because I can't leave. But since we have 3 kids and Mark is our he's our provider, so he has to work, and plus our insurance is through him, so it's important that he stays home with the 3 kids and continues to work and provide and just help the children. Having one parent, we felt like at least one of us has, it's good that one of us is here and stable with them, because it's already such a big deal, such a change in their lives. And so he will come out, and my parents will come, and probably Amanda, and everybody's just going to kind of rotate, because Brooke was with me for a long time in Texas. And she's newly married, and we just, you just need a break after caring for someone. It's very stressful on your caregivers, because, I can't hardly, it's just so many rules basically, and just so many medications, and just making sure that I'm okay 24/7 can be very stressful for your caregiver. So we just think a good break, I'm going to set up a calendar so everybody can kind of have a moment to take off and go home and, enjoy their lives and things like that. So we're getting all that together eventually. But yeah, Brooke has been my rock through this all. She just knows everything. She's been with every doctor's appointment basically. She takes care of all my medication, and she's been really great. And Amanda has been here, and my mother-in-law, to take care of the kids with my husband, and my parents are across the street, and they went to Texas for 2.5 weeks and helped. So it's great to have, and so many friends helping with carpool and taking them to school and bringing them home and dance. And it's just a great, I couldn't do it without everybody. So it's crazy how many people have stepped up and helped me raise my children while I'm not here, because I do my best from Texas or from the hospital, but it's not quite the same. And some days my body just can't think about that. I can't think about, what time the kids have dance, or who's helping them with their homework, or is their hair or the girl's hair, washed and clean, and do they look okay? I'm just happy everybody, if they're dressed and brushed their teeth and fed and happy. A lot of my perspective on life has changed after this, because, you just get so caught up in worrying about your outfit or what people are thinking, or my kids using their manners, or, just so many things that really don't matter in life when you're sitting here fighting for your life, and, leaving your children behind and your husband for so long. It's just, that's been the hardest thing. That's thought you would know. I mean, it's just hard to leave your kids and your husband just in your house. Like, I love coming home. I hadn't want to leave my house since I've been here, because it's so nice to be here and be comfortable and happy. So
yeah, no,
I'm more emotional at home. I think about it more, but yeah. So
you're incredible. No, you really, I mean, you're amazing.
Thank you, Bradley.
No, seriously. I hope that I have the strength that I mean, you just, I love your mindset of saying, it's a job, I'm going to get it done. And here's what I'm fighting for. In those 5 months, is there anything that we can do for you? I mean, are there any, like, is there anything that I'm just trying to think through, and you might not know, and that might be something you can share later, but I'm just trying to think through of those. That's what can we do?
Yeah. I mean, of course, pray. And I received cards while I was in Texas, and that was nice.
Okay.
It just words of encouragement, and, just getting mail is always fun. And we eat out a lot.
Okay.
So we Uber Eats or DoorDash food all the time.
Perfect.
I don't really know.
No, things like that are super helpful to say, like, okay, DoorDash gift cards, mailing something. I mean, simple things like that sometimes you question, you're like, is that even enough? Like, just do it. Like, don't second guess yourself, just send it.
Right.
Because that's
definitely.
what I kind of thought. I was like,
I mean, like, just taking a meal to a family is like so helpful. We've gotten so many meals, and it's Mark and his mom and 3 kids usually here. And so they know they're gonna, she doesn't have to worry about cooking, and he doesn't have to. He's been at work all day. The kids been at school and dance, and, Larson's almost 2. So he's running wild all over the place. So they're worn out by the time dinner time comes. So just, it's been nice not having to worry about, what they're going to eat tonight, or, it's
that's
just
something they don't need to think about. Yeah. It's just nice to have time that they don't. Yeah. Okay. No, that's, perfect.
You spend time cooking and stuff. It's just cleaning up after that. It's a lot. And, I mean, my husband's not used to doing all that kind of stuff. His mom, she did it already. So now she's having to do it again. So it's very helpful for them. And anybody who is ill, even if it was just after somebody having a surgery or something, I would say, if they have a meal plan or a meal train, sign up and take them something, even if it's, it doesn't have to be home cooked. It's just, I say anything. Like, I sometimes just take people Zoe's meals or something, So I think people are thankful for anything that can help.
Perfect. No, thank you for being generous with, like, sharing your journey and kind of what I mean, because I wouldn't have any idea. What you just shared is, you're thinking, wow, if I have to go through that, Lindsay's a guide. You're a guide to kind of go through something that's extremely, like you said, within 24 hours, you had to pack a bag and leave and go.
Yeah, we didn't know anything about it. I definitely know a lot more now, and you learn. And one of the biggest things that we've just learned from other patients and just experiencing it so far is day by day, because you don't know what the next day is going to be like. You don't know how you're going to feel. You don't know what your numbers are going to look like. You don't know how long you're going to be sitting there waiting, and you don't know what your labs are going to come back. It's just day by day, and you might get good news one day and bad news the next week. It's hard to think about the future because you really have no idea. And the doctors can't tell you. They can't tell you much at all, really. It's just because it's still day by day for them as well. Once you get your lab work done, I mean, they can give you an idea. And I have two options, and I have to I've made a choice as to what I should do. I made a choice to go to MD Anderson, and then my other choice has been the bone marrow procedure, or the bone marrow transplant, which is something I've heard about since the beginning. But then my doctor also said I could do a 2-year maintenance plan of chemo, where I get chemo every month for 2 years. And it's just, to me, I thought about doing that because I could do some of it here in Columbia and I wouldn't have to go away for so long. But then the goal of the bone marrow transplant is to get it over with and to hopefully be cured if everything goes as planned, and, put this behind me and just, look forward to the future with the children and with Mark and my family and friends, and, help others who are going through this situation will be part of my future. And, transplants do fail and cancer does come back, but hopefully I can get to that point where I can not think about that for a long time. There's a lot of people that have gone and lived, they're still in remission for 16 to 20 years right now that I've talked to. And that would, hopefully I can make that even more years for myself. So,
yeah.
And when you sit here and you hear 20 years and I'm like, that's not long enough for me. I want more
right.
that. I'd be happy to have 20 more years, but gosh, it's still scary to think. And everybody can die. I mean, we never know what our plan's going to be, but it's like when death is sitting right there in your face, it just scares you. And you do question it a lot, but yeah, day by day, pretty much is the way you have to go, but it's working so far. We're making it work. We're getting through it. And I feel like my kids are tougher and more independent, and my husband has really shown his appreciation for me, and it's kind of like opened our eyes in more ways than one, I guess. So, and I know my faith is grown deeper, and that's a huge thing. So, and for him as well, I can see, I mean, he is definitely more open and talks about God and prays a lot more than I think he ever did in his whole life. So that's really important. So
yeah,
I know it's a lot.
No, Lindsay, because I can't begin to attempt to put myself in your shoes, but if I try, you start to, you think of all the things that you've had to navigate, and I can't begin to even comprehend what you've gone through, and you are a freaking warrior. Like, that's what I mean. I'm just like, you are.
Thank you, Bradley.
You're so strong. No,
I'm trying to be, that's for sure. I'm trying to stay strong and positive,
I felt this tugging. I was like, I just need to talk to Lindsay, because I have this thing, it's called like Moxie women, like women of courage, like that I've always been trying to, it's always been on my heart. And I was like, I said, forget it. Like, I chose to do the Ironman like in 3.5 months. It kind of lined up with your timing of like, you inspired me to, I was like, I'm just going to do it. And every time I didn't want to get up and do something, I thought of like, well, I'm sure Lindsay would give anything to like go swim in the lake. Like, that's not a big deal. That's not hard. Like, what she's doing is insanely hard. She didn't choose that. I get to choose to do something like that. And so it really gives you insight of like how selfish we can be with time. And I just like, you're an inspiration for me personally. And even through the race, I was like, oh, I can push to do this because look what Lindsay's doing.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
You're rocking it, girl.
Well, you're top of mind for me. So, and you're going to continue to be top of mind. And I really sincerely appreciate you sharing. And I'll have links to everything underneath it so that people know how to be involved, and to make sure that they're following you. Because I'm sure Brooke and Amanda will still continue to update Caring Bridge. And
yeah, Amanda does that. Yeah, every step kind of once we talk to doctors. So,
and just for people to stay connected of how they can just continually support your family, like you and your family, because it feels like part of it is like, if people can help here as well, then you're not having to worry, like, that, okay, something as simple as a meal is just taken care of. So
yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you. Thank you.
No, thank you. I'm sincerely thank you for letting me talk with you. And I'm sorry that it took an hour of your time. And
I'm fine. It feels good to talk about it.
It does.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it just, I don't know. You get it out, I guess. I don't,
Because I didn't know when I reached out, I was like, she might not even want to talk. Like, I didn't know.
No, I'm fine with sharing. I mean, I feel like if one person can get help from the story, if one person donates blood, or somebody becomes a match for someone else just because they listened to this, or, saw something on social media, I think that's awesome. So, yeah, be the match, and we'll be at the blood drive at our church in Chapin.
November 29th.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's scary, I'm sure, but I don't think it's painful for the donor. I think they could possibly have to have a bone marrow procedure or something to help, but I'm pretty sure it's just almost just like giving blood. I don't know the exact details, but it's not as scary as it sounds to donate your bone marrow.
Right. But
I think that kind of stuff scares people, and maybe they might want to help, but they might be scared, I mean,
but when they hear your story and see that, like, if I'm a match, I would, because then I'm like, okay, I haven't done it yet. I need to do it. And even though you already have a match, I can do it in your honor and say, like, well, I did it because of Lindsay's story. Like, I didn't even know, like, you
about being the match.
Yeah, I didn't.
I
and so you sharing that, and I saw it on your story on Instagram. Someone had the envelope, or they had the package to swab. Yeah. And I was like, I need to do that. And so having this conversation, I'm like, I'm going to do it. And I think that maybe even showing how it's not hard to do.
No, it's not hard to do. And it's amazing. And that somebody from somewhere in this world is going to help me because they decided to sign up at Be the Match, or, become a donor. And I don't know who they are, and how are they matching me? It's just wild. Like, God created somebody else who's a 100% match to me, to help save my life. And I probably will never meet them or know who they are. And that's just so wild to me to think. And it's amazing. It's really amazing.
It's remarkable. And then, but that inspires me to be like, well, who would I be a match to? Like that I could be a match for someone, or someone, I might need that too. You don't know. You just don't know.
Yeah, you don't. That's true. Very true. But
well, Lindsay, thank you. And I know this won't be the last time that we speak. I can't wait to follow up of following your journey and story. And if there's anything that I personally can do for you, I will. I'm already going to do the things you said.
Okay. Thank you, Brittany.
And if there's anything I can do, that I'm going to get this word out and raise awareness for you.
Thank you. That's been my top goal. Like, that's something I definitely have wanted to do since I found out, like, and I sat in the hospital and prayed. It was, what is this journey about? And it's to raise awareness and to help others. That has been my thought the whole time. So thank you for helping me.
Oh, I'm going to do whatever I can.
Yeah. Thanks, girl.
I'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too.
Right. Bye.
Bye.